Welcome to Slash Forward. Today we're going to take a walk through the woods and it's going to turn out unlike anything you would have ever expected. When an aggressive wolf moves back into the general vicinity of Joseph's homestead, he ventures out to hunt it down but ends up in pursuit of something much more dangerous. Seriously, my mind was blown by the end of this movie, so let's check it out. We open over a beautiful lush mountain wilderness. A couple of hilljacks dig into the earth and leverage tools of survival and prosperity to wallow in the abundance of nature like hogs and slop. While Anne's back taking care of the homestead, Joe calls her to request she retrieves for him a new spring. So she gathers up the pelts for barter while her kin digs into a huge pile of scat. The lessons end abruptly, however, when one of their traps is found to have been viciously cleared, indicating
it's back.
Anne loads up the truck and rides into town, which they only do to acquire things they can't provide on their own. Sadly, prices on coon skins and muskrats have all dropped precipitously, requiring her to be selective in her shopping. As thoughts of the lean times weigh on her, she finds herself longing for a return to modernity, education, and running water. But Joe is practically feral at this point. Perhaps a ratcheting up of the rusticness is in order to reduce their reliance upon legal tender. But this is set aside when Renee and Joseph return, meaning it's time for food prep, novice butchery, and a little tannery. It's not until the evening that the concerns are addressed, but instead of considering a move, Joseph strategizes about what pelts to focus on. And then
the wolf is back.
Renee gets things started up again. This bad boy's been here before and presents a clear and present danger, but Joe is hesitant to seek outside help.
Maybe they can catch it.
And Anne's pragmatism cuts deeply. He insists he'll catch it tomorrow and they'll put this behind them. But it's not just that. She's also concerned about taking such big risks at the threshold of the winter months. However, this is a conversation Joseph is very used to kicking down the road. In the evening, Anne makes the reasonable argument that they both chose this hard life, and it suits them, but Renee did not. Because of their chosen lifestyle, there won't be a generation to follow. So what's the point of all this suffering? Hoping to bring peace back to the homestead, Joe is unable to rest and instead gets started. He is hesitant to allow Renee to participate, but she does possess a certain guile, and she convinces him to let her come along. But she's going to help set traps only, no hunting. When Anne wakes up and realizes she's gone, he reaffirms his reservations and plan of action to put her mind at ease. It's not long before they come upon a wolf pile. Joseph immediately sets to masking their scents to aid their pursuit of the beast. He explains that a lone wolf will go for more vulnerable targets, and
going home.
He's here. So she's sent off with the warning that she is not to run no matter what. Now everyone's spread out. Anne's at the riverbank fetching a pail of water, Renee's marching home, and Joseph is putting out a warning call to his quarry. There's a sense of danger hanging heavily in the air and tickling the backs of their necks. This results in Anne losing her nerve and running home, wasting her efforts along the way, and Renee taking off like a bolt and ducking for cover from an invisible threat. Joseph keeps at it until he gets a holla back, indicating it's on. Joe eventually catches him in his sight and takes careful aim, and when the shot rings out, Renee feels a sense of relief wash over her body. But when Joseph pulls up to the spot, there is no wolf carcass, and he finds that it had been gnawing on a most peculiar treat. He finds a road nearby with a trail marked, which he follows back until he comes upon a non-wolf related atrocity. It's a campsite strewn with bodies in various states of undress and decomposition. At dinner, Joseph is sulking but dare not admit to the tremendous danger that resides in the woods. This news would almost surely result in outside infringement on their life, so he makes preparations for his next move. He's gone by early morning and warns that he'll likely be following the wolf out of range, so he'll check in the next day. The ladies are out doing the wash when Renee notices that Tova is missing, but she doesn't even break the brush line before this big bitch comes snarling out. Anne screams it off enough to grab her .22 and get them back to the house. As a promise to her daughter, she agrees to go out and try to find Tova. She ventures far afield where she eventually finds Tova's corpse, an event that dulls the otherwise savory flavors of their stew.
I'm worried about Tova.
He knows how to take care of himself.
Oh, this is a family of liars, leaving her to hope for a triumphant return in the morning. Morning comes and there's no word from Joseph. The ladies carry on, but the food stores are getting so low they go to check some traps. As they do, a consistent pattern begins to form in front of them. There's also the old adage that feces tells no lies, and Anne fishes a ring out of a giant pile of wet shit.
Where would I get it from?
You sweet summer child. This calls for a truck ride to the DNR office where Lucy is currently fielding a hysterical call from some soft folks. It's Danny's turn and reception is spotty, so he grabs his satellite phone and quickly takes care of business, which includes a little parting gift to teach these yuppies the cost of failing to lock down your trash cans. He passes an abandoned car along the way and pulls in at the end of Anne's ring story. The problem is their supposed land is in federal territory. This municipal office has no jurisdiction. It will bring the legality of their living arrangements under scrutiny, and also,
You can't really blame a wolf for being a wolf.
so she'll have to deal with the big old meanie on her own. When they get back, Anne sends Renee inside so she can secretly bury Tova, but then gets the sense that she's being observed. The end result being the accidental killing of a sacred fawn. Since she's never personally done this part, she asks Renee to show her how to properly skin and dress the carcass. Then later on, they try to enjoy their dog dishes full of baby venison. The radio squawks that evening, but she's unable to make a connection. Then Renee wakes her in the night because she thinks she hears Tova outside. Anne is once again saved from revealing the truth when she hears what sounds like an injured Joe. She does find an injured man in the woods, but it's not Joseph. She runs back to the house and tells Renee to stay out of sight before returning with her truck sled for easier transport. Once they're inside, she begins to administer medical treatment to his multitude of significant wounds. Renee wakes up to find her mom in bed with her, and then ventures out like she's starting to rumspring him. He wakes up, so she alerts Anne, who fetches him some water. She then sets out to convince Renee that Dad would agree to the human imperative to help those in need, as she provides the stranger additional treatment. Meanwhile, out in the broader world, another bear call that yields no results outside of airing out his citation book. When he passes the car again, he stops this time to take note of the license plate. Back at the house, their guest awakens, not remembering that his leg is shredded. As the memories come back, he claims he had been heading to the falls to take pictures when his car broke down. He stupidly decided to try to walk back at dusk, his biggest regret. Anne lays out the situation and recommends they try to get to the truck, but he's feeling so warm and vulnerable right now. Regardless, she insists that they try and immediately get to Dragon. Unfortunately, the pain is too great, so they're forced to tuck him away and try to make alternate plans. The first thing they do is lay out all of their traps, along with some little makeshift stickers and plenty of smoke and fire, all things wolves hate. Meanwhile, Danny's sent in the plates to be run and starts piecing things together.
Where would a wolf find a cheap old ring like that?
You may wonder why they're not getting this, but Danny's gears start turning and leading him in that direction. Despite it being the end of their shift, he decides to go back out and visit the car. He heads into the woods at dusk because the lighting is so beautiful and follows a familiar trail that eventually delivers him to a familiar scene. And things go downhill from there. In the morning, Lucy checks the messages, which are comprised of nothing but Danny's wife looking for him after he didn't come home the prior night. This prompts her to rush out to his last location. Anne goes out that morning to check all of their traps but doesn't find anything other than a huge jackrabbit, another innocent of the forest, the necessary killing of which pushes her beyond her limit. But when she desperately tries to raise Joseph on the radio again, she gets a response signal from its sister nearby. By following this carefully, she eventually finds Joe's body. He's apparently been dead for a couple of days, but remains curiously uneaten, drawing the cause of his death into question. Now some threads are starting to intertwine, but is it what we think? When Lucy arrives at the vehicle, she calls out for Danny. He's too weak to yell, so he starts popping off some bangers to help her geolocate. She finds him and tells him not to move as she runs for help. No problem, Lucy. Not going anywhere. Anne gets back to the cabin and makes a careful advance. She enters eventually and all seems calm, but that's because Renee is sleeping and this turd is creeping. They have a brief struggle and, due to her blackout, we'll have to save that outcome for later. Because we're back in the woods advancing on Danny's location, they do find him and work to secure the scene. As they're bagging up the bodies, one of the hounds picks up a blood trail, so they begin to follow it. When Anne wakes up, he insists she tells him where the keys to the truck are, as he needs to get to his car before it's found. He has trouble keeping her focused, so he promises to reveal Renee's location after he gets the keys. But instead, after getting what he wants, he begins to set up a burn pile to eliminate evidence of his presence. Showing no respect for her true grit, he leaves Anne unrestrained on the floor while he does his chores. After he's satisfied with the results, he returns to the house and stands over Anne so he may begin going through his little routine. He's so focused on getting himself worked up that she's able to reach her starter trap to be employed on on his face, and then she renders him unconscious. With a moment to breathe now, she goes to find Renee and is devastated by the results. Around that time, the search party notices the pillar of smoke and begins to head in that direction. But Anne already has her guests strung up in the tannery where she gives him a little treat. First-hand witness to multi-generational cultural transference, as she carefully employs the skills imparted to her by Renee via Joseph. When she emerges, the federales are there, dashing any hope of playing this off as an accident. And guess what? Your boy is still alive to some degree, if you can imagine that. She then wanders among the normies whose mouths hang agape at the sight of her, and she pops a quick squat while they soak in the important life lesson that true hard living's not for everyone. I think the main takeaway here is to keep your knives sharp, which is entirely reasonable. For more brutality imposed by nature, check out this video. It is harrowing. And now that we're here, I want to congratulate you for making it to the end of the video and affirm that you are a very special person because of it. And if you enjoyed the video, I would love for you to become a part of the channel by subscribing. Thanks for watching.